Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Teacher at Home. Today, class, we are going to learn the fifth chapter Tribes, Nomads, and Settled Communities. You saw in chapter 234 how kingdoms rose and fell. Even as this was happening, new arts, crafts, and production activities flourished in towns and villages. Over the centuries, important political, social, and economic developments have taken place. But social change was not the same everywhere because different kinds of societies evolved differently. It is important to understand how and why this happened. In large part of the subcontinent, society was already divided according to the rules of Varna. These rules, as prescribed by the Brahmanas, were accepted by the rulers of large kingdom. The difference between the high and the low, and between the rich and the poor, increased. Under the Delhi Sultans and the Mughals, this hierarchy between social classes grew further, beyond big cities, tribal societies. There were, however, other kinds of societies as well. Many societies in the subcontinent did not follow the social rules and rituals prescribed by the Brahmanas, nor were they divided into numerous unequal classes. Such societies are often called tribes. Members of each tribe were united by kinship bonds. Many tribes obtained their livelihood from agriculture. Others were hunter gatherers or herders. Most often, they combined these activities to make full use of the natural resources of the area in which they lived. Some tribes were nomadic and moved from one place to another. A tribal group controlled land and pastures jointly and divided this amongst households according to its own rules. Many land tribes thrived in different parts of the subcontinent. They usually lived in forests, hills, deserts, and places difficult to reach. Sometimes they clashed with the most powerful caste based societies. In various ways, the tribes retained their freedom and preserved their separate culture. But the caste based tribal societies also depended on each other for their diverse needs. This relationship of conflict and dependence gradually caused both societies to change. Who are tribal people? Contemporary historians and travelers give very scanty information about tribes. A few exceptions apart, tribal people did not keep written records, but they were preserved rich customs and oral traditions. These were passed down to each new generation. Present day historians have started using such oral traditions to write tribal histories. Tribal people were found in almost every region of the subcontinent. The area and the influence of a tribe varied at different points of time. Some powerful tribes controlled large territories. In Punjab, the Kokar tribe were very influential during the 13th and 14th centuries. Later, the Gagas became more important. The chief Kamal Khan Ghakkar was made a noble by Emperor Akbar. In Multan and Sindh, the Langas and Arjuns dominated extensive regions before they were subdued by the Mughals. The Balochis were another large and powerful tribe in the northwest. They were divided into many smaller clans under different chiefs. In the western Himalaya lived the shepherd tribe of Gadis. The distant northeastern part of the subcontinent too was entirely dominated by tribes, the Nagas, Ahoms, and many others. In many areas of present-day Bihar and Jharkhand, Chiro chieftains have merged by the 12th century. Raja Man Singh, Akbar's famous general, attacked and defeated the Charos in 1591. A large amount of booty was taken from them, but they were not entirely subdued. Under Aurangzeb, Mughal forces captured many Chero fortresses and subjugated the tribe. The Mundas and Sandals were among the other important tribes that lived in the region and also in Orissa and Bengal. Maharashtra highlands and Karnataka were home to Kolis, Barats, and numerous others. Kolis also lived in many areas of Gujarat. Further south, there were large tribal populations of Korajas, Vettas, Maravas, and many others. The La tribe of Bhils was spread across western and central India. By the late 16th century, many of them had become settled agriculturists and some even zamindars. Many Bhil clans nevertheless remained hunter-gatherers. The Gonds were found in great numbers across the present-day states of Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. How nomads and mobile people lived. Nomadic pastoralists moved along long distance with their animals. They lived on milk and other pastoral products. They also exchanged wool, ghee, etc. with settled agriculturists for grain, cloth, utensils, and other products. They bought and sold these goods as they moved from one place to another, transporting them on their animals. The Banjaras were the most important tribe nomads. The caravan are called Tanda. Sultan Alauddin Khalji used the Banjaras to transport grain to the city markets. Emperor Jahangir wrote in his memoirs that the Banjaras carried grain on their bullocks from different areas and sold it in the town. The transporter food grain for the Mughal army during the military campaigns. The large army they could be 1 lakh bullocks carrying grain. The Banjaras. Peter Mundy, an English trader who came to India during the early 17th century, has described the Banjaras. In the morning, we met a tanda of Banjaras with 14,000 oxen. They were all laden with grain such as wheat and rice. These Banjaras carried their household, wives, and children along with them. One tanda consisted of many families. Their way of life is similar to that of carriers who continuously travel from place to place. They own their oxen. They are sometimes hired by merchants, but more commonly they are themselves merchants. They buy grain where it is cheaply available and carry it to the places where it is dearer. From there, they again reload their oxen with anything that can be profitably sold in other places. In a tanda, there may be as many as 6 to 700 persons. They do not travel more than 6 or 7 miles a day, that too in the cold weather. After uploading their oxen, they turn them free to graze as there is enough land here and no one there to forbid them. Most pastoral tribes reared and sold animals, such as cattle and horses, to the prosperous people. Different castes of petty peddlers also traveled from village to village. They made and sold wares such as ropes, reeds, straw matting, and coarse sacks. Sometimes mendicants acted as wandering merchants. There were castes of entertainers who performed in different towns and villages for their livelihood. Changing society, new castes, and hierarchies. As the economy and the needs of society grew, people with new skills were required. Smaller castes or jadis emerged with the Varnas. For example, new castes appeared among the Brahmanas. On the other hand, many tribes and social groups were taken into caste-based society, given the status of jadis. Specialized artisans, smiths, carpenters, masons were also recognized as separate jadis by the Brahmanas. Jadis rather than Varna became the basis of organizing societies. Deliberations on Jadi. A 12th century inscriptions from Vayakondan Udaya in Tiruchirappalli Taluka, present-day Tamil Nadu, describes the deliberations in a sabha of Brahmanas. They deliberated on the status of a group known as Radhakaras, literally chariot makers. They laid down the occupations which were to include architecture, building coaches, chariots, erecting gateways for temples with images in them, preparing wooden equipments used to perform sacrifices, building mandabas, making jewels for the king. Among the Kshatriyas, new Rajput clans became powerful by the 11th and 12th centuries. They belonged to different lineages such as Hunas, Chandilas, Chalukyas, and others. Some of these too had been tribes earlier. Many of the clans came to be regarded as Rajput. They gradually replaced the old rulers, especially in agricultural areas. Here, a developed society was merging, and rulers used their wealth to create powerful states. The rise of Rajput clans to the position of rulers set an example for the tribal people to follow. Gradually, with the support of the Brahmanas, many tribes became part of the caste system. But only the leading tribal families could join the ruling class. A large majority joined the lower jatis of caste society. On the other hand, many dominant tribes of Punjab, Sindh, and northwest frontier has adopted Islam quite early. They continue to reject the caste system. Unequal social order prescribed by Orthodox Hinduism was not widely accepted in these areas. Emergence of states is closely related to social change among tribal people. Two examples of this important part of the history are described below. A closer look, that is the Gonads. Gonads lived in a vast forested region called Gondwana of country inhabited by Gonads. They practiced shifting cultivation. The large Gonad tribe was further divided into very small clans. Each clan had its own Raja or Rai. About the time that the power of the Delhi Sultans was declining, a few large Gond kingdoms were beginning to dominate the smaller Gond chiefs. Akbarnama, History of Akbar's Reign, mentioned the Gond kingdom of Garha Kadanga that had 70,000 villages. Shifting cultivation, trees and bushes in the forest area, first cut and burned. The crop is sown in the ashes. When this land loses its fertility, another plot of land is cleared and planted in the same way. Administrative system of the kingdoms was becoming centralized. Kingdom was divided into gars. Each gar was controlled by a particular Gond clan. This was further divided into units of 84 villages called Chaurasi. The Chaurasi was subdivided into barods which were made up of 12 villages each. Emergence of large states changed the nature of Gond society. Basically, equal society gradually got divided into unequal social classes. Brahmanas received land grants from the Gond Rajas and became more influential. The Gond chiefs now wished to be recognized as Rajputs. So Aman Das, the Gond Raja of Garha Kadanga, assumed the title of Sangram Shah. His son Dalpat married Princess Durgabadi, the daughter of Salbahan, the Chandal Rajput Raja of Mahbuba. Dalpat, however, died early. Raja Durgavadi was very capable and started ruling on the behalf of her 5-year-old son, Bir Narain. Under her, the kingdom became even more extensive. In 1565, the Mughal forces under Asaf Khan attacked Garha Kadanga. A strong resistance was put up by Rani Durgavadi. She was defeated and preferred to die rather than surrender. Her son too died fighting soon after. Garha Kadanga was a rich state. It earned much wealth by trapping and exporting wild elephants to other kingdoms. When the Mughals defeated the Gonds, they captured a huge body of precious coins and elephants. They annexed part of the kingdom and granted the rest of Chandra Shah, an uncle of Bir Narain. Despite the fall of Garha Kadanga, the Gond kingdom survived for some time. However, they became much weaker and later struggled unsuccessfully against the stronger Bundilas and Marathas. The Ahams migrated to the Brahmaputra Valley from the present-day Myanmar in the 13th century. They created a new state by surprising the older political system of the Bhuyan's landlords during the 16th century. They annexed the kingdom of Chutias 1523 and of Koch Hajo 1581 and subjugated many other tribes. Ahams built a large state and for this they used firearms as early as the 1530s. By the 1660s, they could even make large quantity gunpowder and cannons. However, the Ahams faced many invasions from the southwest. In 1662, the Mughals under Mir Jumla attacked Aham kingdom. Despite the brave defense, the Aham were defeated, but direct Mughal control over the region could not last long. Aham state depended upon forced labor. The forced to work for the state were called pikes. A census of the population was taken. Each village had to send a number of pikes by rotation. People from heavily populated areas were shifted to less populated places. Aham clans were thus broken up. By the first half of the 17th century, the administration became quite centralized. Almost all adult maids served in the army during war. At other times, they were engaged in building dams, irrigation systems, and other public works. The Ahams also introduced new methods of rice cultivation. Society was divided into clans or kells. There were few castes of artisans, so artisans in the Aham areas came from the adjoining kingdom. A Kel often controlled several villages. The peasant was given land by his village community. Even the king could not take it away without the community's consent. Originally, the Ahams worshipped their own tribal gods. During the first half of the 17th century, however, the influence of Brahmanas increased. Temples and Brahmanas were granted land by the king. In the reign of Cbse, 1714 to 1744, Hinduism became the predominant religion. But the Aham kings did not completely give up their traditional beliefs after adopting Hinduism. Aham society was very sophisticated. Poets and scholars were given land grants. Theatre was encouraged. Important works of Sanskrit were translated into local language. Historical works known as Burangis were also written, first in the Aham language and then in Assamese. Conclusion. Considerable social change took place in the subcontinent during the period we have been examining. Varna based society and tribal people constantly interacted with each other. This interaction caused both kinds of societies to adapt and change. There were many different tribes and they took up diverse livelihoods. Over a period of time, many of them merged with caste based society. Others, however, rejected both the caste system and Orthodox Hinduism. Some tribes established extensive states with well organized systems of administration. They thus became politically powerful. This brought them into conflict with larger and more complex kingdoms and empires. So that's all about this chapter. If you're interested, please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.